All right, everybody. Now, this is definitely going to piss people off. And I don't know how we got here, because just a few days ago, Donald Trump was panicking and walking back his measures on auto tariffs with other countries because he realized the auto industry was going to suffer from his economic policy. And now he's quintupling down, or whatever the word is for when you double down for the 50th time, frankly, on this tariff thing, where he is now calling for a 100% tariff on movies produced outside the US. I don't know if this is just movies or if this includes TV shows too. So we're talking popular animes and whatnot, like, all the while, mind you, just throwing this in here. I'm not a conspiracy theorist, but I'm just letting you guys know. Meanwhile, OpenAI just made a massive push for Studio Ghibli art theft. They're now imitating the Studio Ghibli style, which might be one of the biggest and most known studios, like foreign studios, in the US, and very beloved with a strong fan base. So simultaneously, Trump is tariffing foreign movies, and OpenAI is... I'm just saying, it's interesting. And we know how Trump loves AI. I'm just saying. Could be a connection there. Regardless, though, people are not going to be happy about this, and there really is no good reason for this either, especially as America has recently gotten a lot more, enthusiastic about foreign movies. Like, a lot of the best movies lately have been foreign movies, and that's been kind of the moviegoer consensus. Hollywood's not been in the best of places, and so we'll have to see whether or not people are cool with this, or if it just ends up kind of rolling off their backs. We'll see. No one wants movies to be more expensive than they already are. Like, we don't want... This could kill theaters, actually, come to think of it. If anything is going to be the final death knell for theaters, this might be it. Let's find out what the deal is with all this. 100% tariff on movies produced outside the US. 2 times as expensive as before. That is just... Like, I don't know if you guys realize this, by the way. That literally means 2 times as expensive as it was before. Like, Trump is just increasing prices on products by percentages and announcing these percentages, and people are still too dumb to realize that Trump is destroying the economy and ruining the buying power of the US dollar in America. God, this is a nightmare.
And also announced a new tariff this weekend. What can you tell us about that?
Yeah, and this is an interesting one. The president saying that he will now put 100% tariff on movies that, as he puts it, are coming into our country that are produced in foreign lands. He says, we want movies made in America again. It's not precisely clear whether this...
Okay. Man, no, we don't. Not real. I mean, like, sure. But also, people are really starting to embrace foreign movies right now, culturally, for good reason. That's not a cultural trend that Trump should be putting his hand in the way of, if he wants to keep that hand.
Includes all foreign language movies that are shown, for instance, in art house cinemas, whether it includes foreign productions on streaming services, or whether it includes all movies that include some aspect of production that are outside of the...
Yeah, everyone's saying this is going to make, like, every streaming service significantly more expensive than it already was. People are not going to like that. That's going to piss off a lot of people, I think.
United States, because movies, a lot like cars, include various components that are produced in different countries. In a lot of cases, you know, if a movie is scripted in the US, cast in the US, it might be shot outside of the US, in part because a number of other countries include some tax incentives.
A really common one is to film a movie or show in either Vancouver, Canada, or Georgia, the state of Georgia in the US, due to the tax benefits that you get, the tax incentives that movie productions have for filming in those states. And then I think there's some big thing in New Zealand that has to do with, like, CGI animators and CGI artists, where, like, a lot of movies are having their CGI done out of New Zealand. And that's just one part of, like, of production, right? Like this is often like outsourced all over. Lord of the Rings, I mean, Lord of the Rings might have done that, but I'm talking about like the Marvel movies. Like the Marvel movies are filmed in Georgia and the CGI for them is done in New Zealand. So that's what came to mind. I've read the credits for those movies quite a bit because waiting for the after credits scene in theaters. So I'm like, another one filmed in Georgia and CGI done in New Zealand. Interesting.
For a production of motion pictures. And so the president here is identifying a real issue. You know, talk to anyone in Los Angeles, they do say that a lot of the jobs associated with the motion picture industry have dried up, in part because it's cost prohibitive to shoot movies in California. The president here clearly trying to remedy this issue as part.
Okay. When will it be cheaper to film those war movies that take place during the U.S. occupation of Afghanistan? When will it be cheaper to film those movies literally in Afghanistan rather than in, like, the desert outside Palm Springs in L.A.? Because ever since living in that part of the country, outside L.A. in the desert, whenever I see movies that take place in, like, the Middle East, like war movies like that, I'm always like, that is not Afghanistan. That is a 30-minute drive away from where I used to live. I can just tell. And when will it literally be cheaper to actually film the movie in Afghanistan? That's what I'm curious about.
Part of this broader effort to move production of all kinds of goods and services back to the United States, the president says he does think that new trade deals could be announced this week as part of his effort to reorient global trade. Wolf.
All right, Kevin Liptak over at the White House. Thanks very much. And Pamela, this is personal for me because when I was in Mission Impossible Fallout, the film, they flew me to London for my scene to film.
I guess he would be because he's like one of the most recognizable reporters in like news, but that's just a crazy statement for a news reporter to say. Yeah, so when I was in Mission Impossible, I perked up there. I was like, I locked in like, where are we going with this? Holy shit. I mean, it makes sense. A lot of movies will cameo like famous TV personalities that are recognizable at the time of their filming, which I feel like is really neat as like a time capsule, you know? Like 30 years from now, 40 years from now, people will go back and watch movies like that and be like, so those were the guys on the TV telling the news back when my great-grandpappy was a kid. Yeah, kind of like when you see like clips of Larry King in older shows like Breaking Bad or whatever. I think he shows up in Breaking Bad, right? If I'm not mistaken. I could have sworn he does. Maybe it's Better Call Saul I'm thinking of. Anyway.
Because when I was in Mission Impossible Fallout, the film, they flew me to London for my scene, to film my scene in London. So if Trump gets his way, you couldn't do that anymore. You got to film everything in the United States.
Right, which a lot of people in Hollywood and elsewhere would applaud, right? Not going overseas and having that money be here in the United States, which is what he's doing. But as Kevin pointed out, there's a lot of practical issues with this that would need to be worked out. But interesting. Only you can say that, Wolf, right? I was in Mission Impossible. I had to fly to London.
There are a few other actors in Mission Impossible.
What sucks is that, like, this isn't even effectively what Trump is trying to do, right? Like, Trump is trying to make it look like he is strong-arming every industry in America into bringing all their production to America, which will, as a trickle-down result, create tons of jobs for Americans and improve the way of life for everyone here, right? Even if there is some struggle as things get expensive for a little while, at the very least, the manufacturing will be back here, the jobs will be here, the economy will heal. That is what Trump is telling people, and that is why they are still backing him, even as he destroys their financials. The problem with this is the Democrats do this far more effectively and in a way that doesn't decimate the economy. Biden brought manufacturing here and boosted manufacturing here for things like computer chips because we had an edge in that industry. Putting money into that industry and federal funding into that industry got us ahead of China. We would have had a situation where China might have been buying computer chips from us, which would be huge We know how much China would need computer chips for their production, so them having to buy that from us would do a massive deal to reduce the trade deficit between our two countries. That's how you reduce a trade deficit, which, mind you, is not a debt or even a bad thing in the first place, but if you're trying to reduce it, which a high trade deficit is not bad, but a low trade deficit can be good, if that makes sense. So the way Trump's trying to lower the trade deficit is in the worst way possible. Like the way that actually is harmful. The way that Democrats tried to decrease the trade deficit is in the most helpful way possible, where there's just more economic growth. And mind you, right now, for the first time in like 40 years, the U.S. economy has shrunk in this first fiscal quarter of 2025. GDP growth is negative. This is insane, mind you. Insane for America. America is known as the country that has a never-ceasing growing economy, even when the whole rest of the world is either bogged down, completely stagnant, or experiencing a recession. Even during COVID, for the most part, the U.S. economy was still growing, just a lot slower than we were used to. The U.S. economy is shrinking right now. Unbelievable. Unbelievable.
Well, they all flew to London.
That's right. That's pretty cool.
I was in James Bond's Skyfall, too.
I know. How many movies have you been in?
A lot.
Damn.
Yeah.
There you go, folks.
Movie world reacting to a new announcement by the US president ordering a 100% tariff on foreign films shown in the United States. In a post on Truth Social, Donald...
Also, does this mean that movies have to take place only in America now? Like, you can't have a movie that's, like, American but takes place overseas? Like, plenty of movies have characters go from America to another country for, like, portions of the movie. Like, that's actually one of the most common recurring trends in modern blockbusters these days because of how big the budgets are.
Donald Trump said Hollywood is being devastated by productions filmed outside the US and is likening that to a national security threat.
Other nations, a lot of them, have stolen our movie industry, and I'm saying if they're not
They've
willing
stolen
to make
our
the
movie
movies
industry?
inside the United States, then we should have a tariff on movies that come in. And not only that, governments are actually giving big money. I mean, they're supporting them financially. So that's sort of a threat to our country in a sense.
Eric Gardner is a founding partner.
Guys, does Trump not look fatter to you? Like, he's looking a little chunkier today. I'm just saying, like, I'm not like fat shaming or anything. It just seems like Trump, you know, he's just getting a little chunkier. And all I'm saying is, he's getting to the age where extra weight carried is not all that healthy. He's looking tired. He's looking low stamina. Now we can fat shame him. Well, being fat in and of itself is not something to be ashamed of. Fat isn't something you are, it's something you carry. When you're into fitness and working out, that's a realization you have very quickly. And like in Donald Trump's case, the fat that he is carrying is a very obvious health risk, which is funny.
So that's sort of a threat to our country in a sense.
Eric Gardner is a founding partner and correspondent for Puck News. Joins us now. I often hear you on one of the podcasts on what is a really good and busy slate. Congratulations on that. Eric, good to have you. First up is a very simple question. Does this proposal even make sense when film production is so global and so sort of intertwined, and films ultimately, correct me if I'm wrong, are not goods? I think they fall under the sort of, you know, the pillar of services, right? Which is generally not what tariffs are all about. So explain what's going on here.
Yeah, I mean, it's hard to explain what's going on. I'm not sure whether Trump himself knows.
I think Trump has just decided, because he's so retarded, to make essentially all movies, even US-made movies, twice as expensive to see in theaters now, twice as expensive to stream, twice as expensive to buy on Blu-ray or on digital, and just doesn't give a fuck. And that's what he did. I genuinely think it's that simple. I think Trump is just completely power drunk right now. No one dares to tell him that he's not doing things that are a good idea. Like, the things he's doing are a bad idea. And he's just doing every retarded thing that comes to mind. And we just got to sit back and let him do it and let everybody who voted for his ass suffer.
Knows what's going on. I mean, you know, when we're talking about tariffs, you're usually talking about goods that are shipped into the country, and at the point of entry, that's when the taxes are put on. But when you talk about movies, there's no such thing as them being shipped into the country. You know, it's intellectual.
But Trump is the healthiest president ever. No, but unironically, you know who the healthiest president ever was? Obama. Did we ever see Yeah. Hey guys, do you want to know what Obama looked like without a shirt? The images that we have are very blurry, but like, those are abs. And so you definitely know that that's not like flab, those are pecs. And he's got defined shoulders. Like, he's lean, but he's cut. And the White House had a real good gym. He had one of the best personal chefs in America. This giant fucking, like, built as fuck dude who looks like he could just, like, rip through his shirt with a flex if he wanted to. If you ever want to see a video of that guy, I'm totally down to watch some of his, like interviews, the White House chef. Because his talking about, like, doing the nutrition plan for the president is super cool. Yep, Chef Andre Rush. Good job knowing who I was talking about, Dark Lord Kermit. Yeah, he's Giga Chad as fuck. He looks like a Baki character. But yeah, President Obama, unironically the healthiest president we've had in modern history. Like he looked fit for an average person, much less the president.
Property, they get screened everywhere. So exactly how is the tariff going to be imposed? Is it going to be on movie tickets? Is it going to be on producers paying the fees? That's just one of the problems. There's also the question of what is a movie that's produced overseas? Are we talking about where the funding is coming from? Is it about, you know, where is it shot? What happens if it's shot in the United States, but there's some post-production, some special effects over in Asia? Does that, you know, qualify as a foreign film? So there are all these questions. Right now I'm looking at this executive order, the Truth Social post in it.
Movies can't be imported, so a tariff can't be applied to movies. But do we know that for sure, though? Like, do we not know that Trump won't just unilaterally put a law in place that requires a 100% increase in like paid taxes whenever like a movie theater tries to like pay for the rights to show a movie? Like, that theater owes taxes, so wouldn't they just increase the taxes gained owed on this ticket sales by 100%? There's a way they could still tariff these movies being shown by the retailers, quote unquote, right? Like, that's all that matters here. Trump just wants to be able to collect a sales tax of some kind on the collection of these resources or these like things that have been made, whatever it may be, whatever product, resource, whatever is coming into America for consumption. So he can just like siphon it off of the sales tax from like the sales of tickets, you know? We're so far past the point of things making logical sense or making sense or being logical. Genuinely anything can happen at this point. Yeah, just accept it. Just accept it and enjoy the ride at this point. Let's just have fun with it.
It's very vague. I think there are a lot of people in Hollywood very confused right now.
Taxes are different than tariffs? No, I mean, tariffs are a tax. It's just they're a tax on the businesses that sell you things. And so by the time you buy the thing off the shelves, its price that you're paying has been increased because the company needs to still make even, which is going to require you to pay more post an increase on the taxes they pay when their products come in through customs.
It's interesting. I mean, even here in the UAE, in Abu Dhabi, where there have been a lot of, you know, pretty significant films made of late, or at least parts of them shot here. They offer a rebate here, and that's as they do in many parts of the world. And that's one of the things that Trump seems to be going after here, rather than what the California governor has been suggesting is helping out Hollywood by actually offering the sort of tax breaks that you see in places like Abu Dhabi. So there is a way of supporting the business. It just doesn't make sense necessarily as far as you're concerned, and I can't get my head around it by using tariffs. Look, take Netflix as a key example.
Zan, are you excited to see Chud grifters desperately try to defend when he tariffs foreign computer games? We're at the point where he might institute a law, like requiring, like, ID to log into any game rated M or rated T or higher. Like, you want to get onto, like, Halo Online, you have to put in your ID every time, just like the porn bans. Imagine how insane that would be. We're not far off from Trump doing something like that. And from the Chuds defending it.
That stock is taking a hit from what's been an all-time high after this news. Let's bring up the live market number for you. Netflix last year spent more than half of its budget on international production. 70% of its 300 million subscribers are outside the United States. Its stock down about 3.5% or more today. You have to assume that's mostly on this.
The Chuds will just say, go woke, go broke, in response to that, to be fair.
Look, the markets are off slightly today, a bit of profit sharing going on, but, I mean, that's a significant drop for Netflix today. What impact would this tariff have on consumers? How would it change things for the everyday viewer and for an organization like Netflix?
Yeah, I mean, that is pretty unclear right now. I mean, if we're talking just about movies, well, Netflix does most of its, work in television shows, so it's not clear whether or not Netflix is impacted. And if you're, imposing tariffs on movie tickets, maybe that means that Netflix is in a better position. Maybe it means that people, stay home, don't go to the movie theater, and just binge watch on Netflix. So until we have details about how.
Yeah, this could really kill movie theaters if this actually does have an effect on ticket prices. Movie theaters are already on the knife's edge right now. They don't need anything like this coming along to push them over the precipice.
How this is going to be imposed, it's hard to really game out who's winning and who's losing. But we got to take it seriously. Obviously, Trump is all about tariffs. You're right. There are incentive ways to drive production in the United States. It's definitely a real issue. There used to be a vibrant economy in Hollywood that was based entirely on people producing movies and TV. And these days, a lot of that happens overseas. But, the use of tariffs to rectify that is kind of strange.
All right, with us now is Justin Wolfers, professor of economics and public policy at the University of Michigan, and Art Hogan, chief market strategist at B. Riley Financial. Professor, I want to start with you with this announcement or statement President Trump made overnight of placing 100% tariffs on foreign-made films. Now, it's unclear if he's talking about literally like foreign films that are in a foreign language shot and produced overseas and then sold here in the U.S., or if he's talking about the Avengers.
Dude, that would go so hard, man. Imagine if Rev Says Desu got arrested by the Trump admin for his VTuber avatar. Okay, so we're talking about the Avengers now on CNN. I love this timeline, dude. I love this timeline. Holy shit, I never catch the streams? Well, welcome, Walking Donut. You have caught this one. Damn, my arm is sore. I had a good workout last night. Like, you ever have that, like, kind of soreness after a workout where it's not, like, weak sore, where you're like, it's hard to lift my arm. It's more like a tightness of sorts, hard to describe, and it feels nice. I always love a good workout that leaves you feeling like that for a day or two. Real nice. Oh, those are good? Yeah. Especially on the tri. It's like I got it on my bicep and tricep, so it feels like there's like a band all the way around my arm of just like a tight sensation, basically. Zan, show us your gains. I don't really have much in the way of gains to flex. There's not really much to show off yet. I'm fairly I have fairly decent definition, but I feel like in a couple more weeks to a month, my newbie gains will be impressive enough that they'll actually be something worth showing off. Do it anyway, maybe in a little bit. Someone already had me do that earlier.
Foreign language shot and produced overseas and then sold here in the U.S., or if he's talking about the Avengers, shot on a soundstage in London there. Big picture, Professor, what happens if this trade war expands to services and intellectual property?
Yeah, so that's the really big news here. I think actually there's two pieces of news. One, the president has opened a whole new front in the trade war, because the thing about movies is they're a service. And tariffs are normally on goods when stuff crosses into the border. The problem with opening that new front is the US is incredibly vulnerable. We export enormous quantities of services all around the world, much more than we import. And so if anyone were to strike back with retaliatory tariffs, American consulting firms would be worried, medical imaging firms would be worried, computer companies are going to be worried, software engineers are going to be worried, and so on and so forth. That's the first thing. The second thing is, this is Trump taking another step forward into the trade war, and a very poorly thought through step. It's pretty clear that there was no expert analysis. He declared making...
Isn't it great how basically ever since Trump took office, we're just seeing red across the stock market nonstop? And we're not talking like, Tesla's down, Netflix is down, GameStop is down. No, it's the Dow Jones, S&P 500, and NASDAQ. Basically the three main metrics by which the U.S. market is measured. Always red for the last 5 months. The only time they're in the green is relative to massive spikes downwards, from which they'll have a minor period of recovery, and then Trump will be like, record economic growth, record market increase. And it's like, yeah, because last week you had a record decrease, so any level of recovery would be a record increase in people's percentages on the stock. And then, of course, when the market crashes, he tells everyone to buy. So he's just publicly doing market manipulation.
Movies a national emergency. It turns out that's so that he can trigger the emergency powers. But the Emergency Powers Act says it can't apply to movies. So it's just more incoherence, more uncertainty, and every other industry's got to be worried they're next.
I can think of a few movies that were an emergency, but that's an aside right there. Art Hogan, to you. You must have had the last 6 weeks of your life. I can't imagine what it's been like waking up every morning and seeing the new news. When you did see the post from President Trump on the 100% tariffs on films, what's your reaction and the immediate impact in your line of work?
Yeah, that's such a great question. I think Justin hit it on the head. First and foremost, you're just opening up a new window that's not good. We, come into the week hoping that we're going to hear about some trade deals announced, and again, we're just opening a new door to just more bad news, and it's analogous to Trump on Sunday night thinking that perhaps he needs to put a tariff on the International House of Pancakes and then favor Waffle House or something like that. We need to get to a place where the administration delivers some positive news, meaning we've cut a deal with, and then fill in the blank.
I love how that's what everyone's asking for now. We need to get to a place where the Trump administration just chills out for a minute, stops fucking with shit, and lets us just exist for a little while, because, oh my god, everything he does is causing chaos, and we would just like to not hear about what he's doing for one day. Man, people really, they felt like, Biden's so boring, he's old, the world's ending because the president's old, and so they elected this guy into office, thinking, I miss when Trump was in office, things were so funny back then. This is what back then was actually like. This is what people wanted back.
Canada, Mexico, India, Japan, etc., because we're running out of time in this 90-day negotiating period, and we're doing more economic damage the longer we wait. So I think we're at a place now where what the market needs to see is something positive, and we just haven't seen that yet.
The president also announced...
Man, literally unbelievable that he's doing this. Like, why is this necessary? Is it really just that there's no one around anymore to tell him that what he's doing is stupid? That it makes no sense? It's wild when you've got economic experts just befuddled by his actions. Like, we have no idea what he's doing here. We guess he just got this idea and he's doing it whether we like it or not. There's really no logic to it. And that's just the reality of what the experts are saying about Trump's economic policy. It's nonsense. He gets a thought in his mind and he sticks to it and he makes it happen. And he doesn't care what the consequences are. And then he pretends like it's all part of the master plan. Ridiculous times we're living in, folks. Ridiculous times. But hey, if you watched all the way this far into this segment, and you want to let me know that you saw this far and you want to support the channel as well, consider dropping a comment down below that says, leave Bollywood alone. Comment that down below to let me know that you watched this far. Leave Bollywood alone. And of course, if you want to leave a like as well, it really does help. Comments and likes on my new videos and streams are the best way to support my content, as it's totally free and it forces YouTube to push my stuff in the algorithm. Engagement is key when it comes to online reach. So seriously, engage, engage, engage. Put conservatives to shame when you hit that like button and when you comment. And of course, if you want to see more from me in the future, make sure to hit the subscribe button and ring the bell icon to turn on all notifications so YouTube actually tells you when I go live or upload new videos in the future. And of course, if you want to see more from me on other platforms, you can follow my social medias linked down below in the description, including joining my fan Discord, which is the main hub of my community and fan base, especially if you want to be part of the gaming events, call-in streams, watch parties, or movie nights I do every week on Fridays, and if you want to get notifications for all of the streams and recordings that I upload, videos that I upload, they'll always be announced there. So don't miss anything, join the Discord through the link down below. And finally, if you want to support me directly, financially, help me keep the lights on and a roof above my head here at the Xander Hall studio, then please consider donating, subscribing, or gifting somebody else a subscription on my website, xanderhall.com/live, or support me through YouTube, Twitch, Streamlabs, Stream Elements, Patreon, or buy some custom Xander Hall merch through the Streamlabs link down below. Regardless of how you support me though, thank you so much for watching, and as always, have a good one.